Welcome, Mattis back again. This time we're going to look a little bit closer to a tent I had used for a while, Hilleberg Allak 2. I will talk about the good side with it and the things I don't like with it. But first, let's roll the intro.
We are Stina and Matti. We run a lifestyle company in the north of Swedish Lapland. For living, we work as nature guides and dog mushers. This is our life, our dream and our home. You're welcome to follow us on the journey.
This time we're going to look a little bit closer to a two-person tent from Hilleberg. It's Hilleberg Allak, it's a self-standing tent. We're going to talk about for who this tent is made and maybe also a little bit about for which people who maybe should look for another type of tent. Hilleberg Allak is a quite heavy tent for two person, 3.3 kilo. If I'm looking down it, because I have a paper here, I don't remember everything. And this fabric that it's made of, it's called Kirlon 1200. And the poles for the tent are 3 poles and they're 9 millimeter wide. And this is quite heavy stuff. It's also quite strong stuff, so it can stand quite heavy winds, and you don't need to be worried that it will break down very quickly. The flyer of the tent goes all the way to the ground, and the mosquito net on the inner tent is possible to close with another layer of fabric. With tents like that, it's possible to use even during winter when you have a heavy snowstorm and you want to cover up really. With this tent, it comes 3 poles. It's also a bag for the poles. In this bag you have one spare section if someone should break. There is also a small part that you can put over if you have a crack on one of the poles. So it's a reparation equipment in this one. So this tent also comes with 12 pegs, I think it is, and I don't have them here right now because I came from the mountain and I'm using winter pegs. And they are back in the sled. When you're folding tents like this, put up tents, you should always take these bags, put them together somewhere, hang them in the tree, or put them inside your jacket, because they blow away very easy. Now I don't do that, we have no wind. I always get some of these and then I put it out. What you can do, that on this side that you want to have towards the wind, you add some color or some stripes or something. This tent is made for Scandinavian nature, so you put up flyer and the inner tent at the same time. You don't first put up the inner tent and then the flyer on top of that. In Scandinavia we have quite rainy, windy and bad weather very often, so you don't want to mess with the inner tent first and then the outer tent. Here it's a blue fabric. On this channel you put it over there, then searching for next blue one, put that one into next blue one, and when you see that ropes tangled up, I don't fold them so nicely, I just messing them into the bag. So, then there is a red one here. Put it there. And you put this here. To the red, to red. blue to blue. And as you see now, don't step on the poles. If you're stepping on the poles, it is a catastrophe for the tent. Here we have white. Every time when you bend one of these poles, it is super important that all these are really closed. So, taking this up, and then white to white. So, what I see a lot of people doing on YouTube is that they put one here, then they walk, put one here, and then continue. That's not how I do. I just put everything here as much as I know. We are doing outdoor life, wilderness life, and it's not so important that you do things in a totally this tent is made for outdoor, so it's made for people who put it up in snowstorm, or it's not made for an office. So let's put it up like that. These hooks here are really good. I tried them in really cold weather, and for me they haven't been broken yet. It's plastic, and the first time when I see it I thought that this is crap, but now I just see that it's not crap. It's really good. Here, this tent, self-standing. As you see, there is one door here, one door on the other side. You can walking around with it until you find a good spot where you want to put it. What you also have is this cap that you put over everything afterwards. Like this. Very easy to. You have this one that you could attach to the ground. I do that sometimes. You also have these two ropes. If you do tours in bad weather, you take it around the pole like this, because then the tension comes to the pole, not to the fabric. This, if you make like this, the tent will be super strong in heavy wind. So this tent has 3 poles, and they cross each other here. That's why it's so stable. This door of Allak, it's possible to open it here like this. It's also possible to open it from the top. I open here so you see. You can open it from the top like this. You have this thing that cover the blixtlås, this zipper, that is very durable and make the zipper waterproof. This is really good if you want to have a little bit better ventilation. Then you can have this one open. You have this ventilation on the top also with the black fabric. This black fabric breathes a little bit, but not much. I would say most of the time keep it really open like this. If it's snowstorm, then you need to cover it. During the summer, you should never, I never close this. You can do whatever you want. I always want as much ventilation as possible. Of course, all tents from Hilleberg have kind of thing that where you can connect and keep the door open like that. When you look at the inner tent, it has a kind of T open like this opening, so you can really get it totally wide open. What's also interesting with this tent, what I said before, if you look at the mosquito net, here's the mosquito net, but you have this fabric. You can close the mosquito door if you want, and that is what you had to do if you're camping in winter time. Sometimes if it's not drifting snow, then you want to close it. Also, most of the time in winter I keep only the mosquito net like this, because I wanted really good ventilation. People who belong to the Hilleberg religion, they deny that it's condensed in the tent. I love Hilleberg tents, and I know also why you get condensed. If you want to have a tent that you can use in snowstorm, it must go all the way to the ground. It had to be possible to close it like this, and then you get condensed. It's very, very simple. And good ventilation is when the air flows through the tent constant. And in a tent like this, the air can't flow through it. This is a different kind of tent. So the hot air goes up and out, of course, but it's not enough. You need to open it in the side, like the tunnel tents, when it's floating through the whole tent. So this tent is maybe not the best with condense, but it has a lot of other strong sides. Like it's easy to put up everywhere, you don't need pegs and so on, because it's self-standing. And it's also a very nice tent. It's enough with space for 2 person, but I use it very much on canoe tours as a solo tent if I don't need to carry so much. Now we take a quick look inside the tent. Here you have 2 pockets, one on each side. I would love to have more pockets, of course. I don't know why Hilleberg just put 2 small pockets. Some small loops up here, 5 loops, where you can put a line for drying things. It's not, you don't, I don't know. What I do if I really want to dry things is that I take down the inner tent like this, and then I put small lines between the loops here and hanging things here, and then I use my stove inside to get it warm, or if it's sunlight outside. But if it's sunlight, it's better to hang it in the tree, or I don't know. This tent for 2 person, it is enough with space. For 1 person and a dog, it's a super good solo tent. You have also another entree here, so if you're 2 person, you have 1 entree each, and that's really handsome, really good. And here you see the fabric from inside and the door, and what I was talking about, that you can open this out, is that you can keep the door open like this, and you can look out here, and then you have this rain channel up here. That's really good. And this ventilation is protected under this small roof. If it's really warm, you can take away the roof, fold it away, and keep it open, and then you get really good ventilation. Sometimes in summertime I also sleep with the door totally open, and as you see, that's quite cozy in here. I like that I can use it both summer and winter. I like that it's 2 entrees if I'm not alone. It's also very, very handsome with 2 entrees if you're alone, because then you can put backpacks or cooking gear in one side and use the other one for going in and out. I also like it very much that it's self-standing. It's easy to put it up. It's very, very easy with this click system, and all poles have the same length, so You don't need to think about which is longer, which is shorter and so on. Really, really easy tent. I also like the doors that I'm sitting inside the tent like this and I can keep it open. So I use this one sometimes when I'm looking at birds or if I want to be in nature as a hide. It's really, really good as a hide because of that. Because in other tents you don't come so close to the flyer. So here I can put a tripod, I can put my telelens here and or binocular. It's really, really nice. What I don't like with this tent is that it's actually quite heavy. If you compare this with a really, really good Hilleberg Nallo, for example, you get a really huge 3-person tent with extended vestibule for less, I think 3.2 kilo actually, or I don't really know, check it. So it's a heavy tent. You can't compare this tent with lightweight tents from, for example, Big Agnes, because that kind of tent is not as stable as this, of course, with the material, with the poles. You cannot run over this with a tank, of course, but it is really, really, really good tent for storms and for winter use also. And what I don't like with dome tents is the ventilation. It's good ventilation like this, but it is not really enough during the winter. You need to have possibility to have airflow through the whole tent. So I would love a tent with 2 ventiles, a little bit higher on this side, so you actually could get more air floating through the tent. But it's already 3.3 kilo and you don't want to carry more. So maybe you should take other tents then. I would say that this tent is made for canoers or kayak people when you don't need to really carry it. And then we had to look at one thing that's not okay with this tent. And that's even if you put them out and you stretch this out, I have problem in hard winds and heavy rain that this push too hard in and it connect with come in contact with the inner tent. The fly come in contact with the inner tent. It have been really, really simple to put something like this down here, and then you had been able to just attach one more peg here. I want that, and I probably want to put one of this slope here by myself. I think this is a really good tent for people who want this kind of tent. I'm actually thinking about getting another one or 2 more because they are very, very good tent for the canoe tours we make. If you have the tunnel tent with the extended vestibule as we use on the winter tour, Namach 3 GT, it's more difficult to find a good spot for putting them. This is a small tent, you always find a spot where you can put it. What you can do also is that you change the inner tent to inner tent with mesh during the summer, and then you will get a lighter tent. You can use the outer tent without the inner tent in the autumn or in springtime instead of a tarp, that you get a lighter tent also. You can find a floor for it, this extra floor that a lot of people use, and a lot of people say that you get less condense then, maybe a little bit less condense, but not during the winter. And during the winter we dig holes and then you can't use it anyway. The floor at itself is waterproof and totally enough waterproof. It's really rough. I've been putting up this tent on rocks and everything, and no holes, nothing. And it's not my first Hilleberg tent. I really have been through shit with my Hilleberg tents and it's no problem. You can use the inner tent without the flyer also if you want, but then you need to get some extra parts to the inner tent. You can buy them from Hilleberg. And then you can use the inner tent and put the tarp over it if you want. So it's a very flexible tent somehow. If you like this, please subscribe and give a thumb up, or if you don't like it, you can give a thumb down. If you have your own experience of this tent or other tent, please leave a comment down here, because together all our knowledge is quite good. And we still have winter in Lapland, and now I'm going to feed the dog, having dinner, and then I'm going out on the snow. See you next time. Ciao! Da di da di da, la di da di da di da da, da di da di da di da da, da di da di da di da, la di da di da di da, la di da.